I thought I'd make a video talking about my 23andMe and my family tree DNA results. Uh, I know a lot of people uh, post these results onto YouTube, so I thought I might as well show everyone mine to help out anyone who's having trouble interpreting their results or is curious about um, getting tested and to want to know what they actually give you. So I actually did these tests quite a while ago. So I've had time to look at them and try and interpret them and work out how they fit into what I know about my ancestry. So to start off with, my known ancestry is English, Irish, Croatian, Scottish, Polish, and Maori. Uh, so because I'm from New Zealand, New Zealand had a lot of migrants during the 1700s and 1800s, so I'm quite mixed, and I'm sure a lot of other New Zealanders and people from countries like that, like America and Canada, also have many mixed people. So to start off with, we'll look at my family tree uh, DNA results. I'm 87% European to start off with. Uh, the Scandinavian, first off, I think is quite high. I think quite a bit of my British ancestry is being included in that. I'm definitely not 28% Scandinavian. I think 23andMe does a better job of separating the two populations. I think it's mainly just because a lot of British people have similar genetics to Scandinavian people, so that's why it's included in that 4. I would expect the 31% British Isles, mainly because most of my DNA is British, and I would expect that to be the highest. For Western and Central Europe, I was a bit surprised by this at first because when you look at the actual map, I'll zoom in here. You can see it includes a lot of France, Germany, Austria, Northern Italy, Czech Republic, Belgium, Netherlands. Because this goes back quite a few thousand years, it's possible some of my Croatian is included in this because, as you can see, I get no Southern European at all, but I get a high amount of Western and Central Europe. And this population cluster does extend into Croatia, so it's possible some of my Croatian has been included in that rather than Southern Europe, which makes it a bit harder to try and work out where your ancestry fits into certain populations. You can actually read up on each cluster. It does give you a bit of information, whereabouts it extends from and how far it can go back. And then I got 3% Eastern European. I was a bit surprised. I thought it'd be a bit more because of my Polish ancestry on both sides of the family. Once again, 23andMe I think does a better job of giving me a more realistic Eastern European result. Asia Minor as well. When you look at the actual cluster, it's mainly around Turkey. It also extends into Armenia, Syria, and also Georgia and Azerbaijan. But it can actually also include the Mediterranean Sea. So I think it's possible some of my Croatians included in here as well. It's also important to think about migration routes as well for why certain clusters appear or why they might be larger or less than what you expected. Because if we read up here, so along the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, so that could possibly include Croatia and the Balkan countries along the coastline. And finally, we have Ashkenazi Jewish. So, on my third great grandfather on mum's side of the family was actually Polish Jewish. However, apparently his father's side of the family is actually from Scotland, and somehow they ended up in Poland. Apparently, it's possible it could be due to trading along the Baltic Sea, and one of them decided to stay in Poland. Obviously, somewhere along that line, one of the men decided to marry a Polish Jewish woman. I think 6% is quite high. I think my origins overestimates Jewish ancestry a bit. 23andMe has a much more realistic percentage. But once again, it does pick it up. I didn't get any Middle Eastern, which I know quite a few people with Jewish ancestry get. And I got no Asian populations, which is a bit surprising. I do, even though I have a small amount of Maori ancestry, a lot of Polynesian people have Southeast Asian genetics, so I thought I may have got a few percent of that, but obviously not. So this is part one done. So part two we will look at my 23andMe results.